Good afternoon again. What I'd like to find out is your opinion on a concept that's been put out there by some writers, Daniel Pipes for one, of looking at, yes, there's the humanitarian disaster. There always is in any conflict. But here we have what has now become a very strong Al-Qaeda in Iraq-led organization fighting Hezbollah, Iranian-backed organization, telling each other this is win-win, and it is depleting the Iranian economy, their money. Russia's supporting them, it's depleting them, and we're on the sidelines winning in a way.
Yeah. I have no quarrel, actually. If this were a strategy, and I don't know that it is, you see, one of the things that's really perplexing about the Obama doctrine is that from the very beginning, you look at his speech in Cairo, you look at his claims to be leading from behind in Libya, when actually he was dragged into Libya, kicking and screaming by the French, by the British. You look at the deal that Kerry struck with Lavrov, over chemical weapons. Did that happen by mistake? Was it, And this is the thing about Obama from the very beginning, the whole American foreign policy in Afghanistan too, and Iran, is that you never really know whether they lucked out in an instant by some serendipity, or whether it was cunning, or they just completely screwed up, or they meant to do that. There's no coherence, right? And the only clear message that anyone in the Farsi sphere, in Iran, in Afghanistan, Central Asia, North Africa, the so-called Arab world, is hearing from the United States of America is that you're a fool if you trust us. That if you think that we're your friends, you've got another thing coming. And that's why I really did want to leave our young comrade from the Free Syrian Army with the last word on this. Very provocative. Try to imagine the position that he's in. Try to imagine the position that the secularists, the Democrats, the liberals in the Syrian Revolutionary Vanguard are in, when they're confronted by these guys in black masks and the black flags. And what do they say? Where are your friends now? Where's all of your American friends now? Where's NATO now? Where's the democratic world now? What have they done for you lately? What have they done for them lately, right? Salam.
Terry, Salam, how are you? Again, like many other people on the microphone, I may have missed the first part because I came a few minutes late. But from the talks that you had with ordinary refugees in the refugee camps, I want to get a sense, when they talk about Assad regime, do they also correlate as much as we do here, or I do, the relationship between Iran, Hezbollah, and the Assad? Or they think that's only a support like the Russian support? Or do they realize it's run basically, like the militia or the plainclothes of the Assad regime is run by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards? What's their view?
I don't think there's anybody that I spoke to that was under any illusion whatsoever about the intimate involvement and engagement and active coordination, logistics, arms supply, training, commission of troops even by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps of the Al-Quds Force, Hezbollah, the proxy Hezbollah. Everybody knows that. Everybody's very, very, very clear on that. There may be differences of opinion among people about whether the degree to which Tehran is in charge, or the relative degree to which Tehran, as opposed to Moscow, is in charge. But no. I mean, it was really astonishing, I found, because I made a real nuisance of myself. I just wanted to talk to as many Syrians as I possibly could. and get as clear a sense as I possibly could about what their understanding of the struggle was, how they saw the West, how they saw the United States, and what their hope or prospects for the future might be. And the tragedy here, I think, for me, is that this revolution began as the most pro-American, the most pro-West, the most pro-democracy of all the Arab Spring uprisings. The most youthful, the most non-violent. And it's not that way anymore. And I don't know what kind of an argument that I can present to counter the analysis of somebody like Owais Ashami, who says that the Western world is our enemy, the Americans are our enemy, and don't be talking to me about Jabhat al-Nusra just because they're jihadists. In fact, what kind of a crap religion would it have to be if there was no religious obligation within it to get rid by armed struggle of a vampire like Bashar al-Assad? I can't argue with it. I don't know what to say.
Well, one of the big advantages of Terry Glavin is that he does his homework. You've been there and you've talked to people, as well as knowing a great deal from your reading and your research and analysis. I was at another event just a couple of days ago that dealt with Syria, and someone, a very eminent Canadian, sat on the front and said, anybody who kills 100,000 people of his own people, he's got to go. And somebody in the audience stood up, clearly from the region, and said, everybody I talk to says that he's the only protection they have as Christians and as minorities, and other minorities. He was speaking not just to the Christians. And this is, in essence, the dilemma that, one of the dilemmas that we've had all along. And that's what stymied action in the West, or at least has been said as an excuse. Well, Assad is terrible, but we don't know who would come next, and now we know more and more who would come next, and they're Islamist jihadists, and they're going to just create huge genocides. So let's do nothing becomes the bottom line. For someone that has been there like you have, can you give us some, I hate to quote Lenin, but what can be done? What would be your policy prescriptions here?
You don't want darken the skies with drones. Blacken the skies with drones. But I mean, that's flippant. That's flip, isn't it? There is actually, I no longer imagine or hope for or argue for any kind of military intervention. The question, it's a difficult one because things change, things have changed. So this has become largely a self-fulfilling prophecy. There hasn't been any concerted attempt whatsoever by the regime to dislodge ISIS, the Al-Qaeda from the corridor between the border of Raqqa and west to sort of Syrian Kurdistan. They don't take on, they're old friends. They're old friends. The Baathists and Al-Qaeda are old buddies. How do you think, Al-Qaeda in Iraq has been operating all of these years? They've been running through Syria. So, I mean, it's a big, in one hand, I get a bit of a kick out of it when I say, well, we need to have him there because what if these chemical weapons fall into the wrong hands, or we never know, gosh, it could be really bad if the Baathists fall. And I always think, excuse me, the wrong hands? Just how bad does it have to get? This person is a mass murderer, a war criminal, a sponsor of Al-Qaeda, a sworn enemy of Israel, the sugar daddy of Hezbollah. Does it get worse than that? I don't think anymore that, this little sort of testosterone poisoning event that Barack Obama sustained and suffered when his red line was crossed. Oh gosh, I have to do something. And then, I'm scared to do something. I know I'll find an excuse not to. Oh, thank you, Moscow. I think that was folly. I mean, a lot of the people in the resistance said, look, just do it, you know, because optics is everything. You might shake them up a little bit. You never know. You might kind of miss, you know, in your shot across the bow. You might actually hit the bow. That wouldn't be so bad. You know, I think Syria's over. Syria's over. We've lost. The most moral thinker and writer that I know on this subject is a guy named Leon Weisenthal, writes for the New Republic. And his assessment, the lead of his best piece on this, I think, was, we've lost, comrades. We've lost. We've lost. We've lost Syria as a, who cares, right? It was a cobbled, somebody mentioned, you know, the sort of nation state cobbled together in the Sykes-Picot Agreement or whatever it was, back in the 20s. But we've lost a lot more than that. We've lost all the trust. By we, I mean the NATO countries. Nobody in that part of the world trusts us anymore. And we have no moral claim on the values that we purport to believe in. They know that. So, you know, you could whack us out. You could you know, do a little bit of shock and awe and have a bunch of bang bang in Assad and get rid of him. I don't think you would see Al-Qaeda taking over the Syrian government. There's no such thing as the Syrian government anymore. Al-Qaeda already has, you know, some fairly large swaths of desert, a little bit of oil. They've already got an emirate essentially established in Syria. The Syrian people are not naturally inclined in any way towards that kind of religious politics whatsoever. But the popularity of, you could say, indigenous Al-Qaeda affiliates like Jabhat al-Nusra is actually very simple. And it's something that I learned when I was covering labor. I started out as a journalist as a kid as a labor reporter. And one thing that was a principle that was unshakable is whenever a non-union shop brought in a union, you know, they'd often bring in the Seafarers International or the laborers or the Teamsters. And I would go scratch it. These gangsters, what are you thinking? Don't you even read the papers? And it's like, yeah, of course we do. We want someone to kill the boss. What do you think we're joining a union for? That's why people join a union. So in a place like Syria, you got these little 13, 14, 15-year-old boys. They've lost their parents. They've seen their sisters raped. They've lost their houses. They've been burned down by the Shabia. So these guys come along, and you know, they're very muscular. They got AK-47. Oh yeah,